Hey, what's going on, Juwan? How you doing? It's Case, man. Apologize for not getting back to you sooner. I was just super busy over the weekend. But to answer your question about the qualities that a father should have and the quality that my father's had, I think there are four things beyond the father having a relationship with God for himself. And I think it's one is being unselfish. Two would be a provider. Three would be a director. And four, even though some people don't like it, but to be a friend or a companion. I had four dads. My first dad, named Euclid. I know it's an interesting name. His name is Euclid. He's my biological father, and he had me when he was about 18 or 19. When I was born, shortly thereafter, within a couple of years, he knew that he couldn't raise me. He went away to Vietnam, came back, and committed suicide, and I think when I was in fourth grade. But before that, he was kind of changed after Vietnam because everyone in his platoon was killed but him, and I don't think he recovered. And so he ended up committing suicide, but before he died, he signed over my raising to his friend, which is his guy's name was Clyde, and they were friends, and Clyde married my mom. And so Clyde adopted me, and so that I took his last name. That's how I became Michelle. And so what happened then was I grew up a Shell, but I didn't know that I was actually had another father until I was in about fifth grade. And so finally they had told me what happened, and I realized, actually I was about sixth or seventh grade, really. I think it was seventh grade when I found out that I was actually not the biological father or the dad that I've only ever known. He was there from as long as I can remember. But anyway, so long story short, Euclid was my biological father, but he gave me up. Two, Clyde was the father that raised me. And then three was, Pastor Charles. I know how that was. And I don't got to tell you too much about him. He's a fantastic man. And four is my stepfather, Ed. After Clyde passed in like 2016, my mom had already gotten remarried, and she married a guy named Ed, but she'd been married to him for a while before my dad passed. They'd been separated. Anyway, what I feel that is important is because each one of those guys had a specific characteristic amongst all that they did for me that stuck out. First one was my biological father. He gave me up, and he gave me to someone that he knew could raise me and would raise me right. And so for me, that was unselfish, which is one of the first qualities that I mentioned. He knew what was best for me, even though that meant that I had to be with somebody else. Okay, so that's one. Two, my dad Clyde, all the while knowing that I wasn't his biological kid, you would never know it because he treated me no different. But he was an ultimate provider. And I was thinking about that morning when you posted that thing on Facebook, that question. But everything I ever wanted, he got it for me. I may not have got it that day. I may not have got it till Christmas. But I got it. Everything. Skateboards, drums, bicycles, BB guns, whatever it was, clothing, anything I wanted, when I look back on it, he got it for me. So he's the ultimate provider, even though I wasn't his biological kid. Until he passed away, he claimed me as his son, which I claim him. Three, there was, let me go down the block real quick. Three, there was, sorry about that, Pastor Charles. He was the ultimate director, but he did it without saying much. And he did it by living it. And what I mean by that is, for instance, when I first received salvation, I went to him and said, listen, how do I read the Bible? Do I just start from Genesis and go straight to Revelations? Or how do I read this? He said, nah, why don't you start in Corinthians? Corinthians tells you how the church operates, or should operate, and how everybody's functions in the church are. You know that it was about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks ago, that I realized what he was telling me. because I told that to Sonia, and she said, "Don't you see what he was doing?" I said, "No, He knew where you were going then, because he wanted you to learn about how churches operate." I was like, whoa, that's true. I mean, I had just gotten saved. So I didn't know nothing but salvation. And he was already directing me in how churches operate. Why? Because I ended up being a deacon and ended up working in the music ministry. He ended up being the husband to the pastor, you know. And I believe that God gave him discernment to point me in a direction and knowing how churches should operate, right? And that's the way my salvational walk started, with the operation of churches. Okay, but where did that come from? Pastor Bell. You see? So he was already directing me when I was a brand new baby. I'm talking about 1 week old in Christ. He was already directing me. You see? And that's a fantastic characteristic. Last one is my stepfather, Ed. He, like I said, my dad, Clyde, and my mom divorced, back in the 90s. And she married Ed late in the 90s. I think it was about 2000 or something like that. But anyway, maybe 98 or 99, one of them. But he has been nothing but a great addition to the family, meaning that he doesn't try to be anything. He doesn't demand anybody call him dad or anything like that. But all he does is love my mom. And if my kids look at anything too long, he'll buy it for them. You know, so it's just like, you know, it's like he's just the ultimate friend, you know. If you want to talk, he'll listen. He won't give you any input. He'll just listen. He doesn't bother you. When he does talk to you, he's always got something funny. You know, he's just a good friend, you know. And so I've been blessed because I've had 4 men in my life that have tremendous characteristics, but each one of them had one characteristic that really stuck out to me. Again, that's my biological father, who was unselfish, and he knew that he couldn't raise me. 2, my dad, Clyde, who I was not his son, but he raised me as if I was, and I had no lack. He was the ultimate provider. And 3 was Pastor Bell. All throughout our relationship, he would direct me by saying little things, but never sitting me down and, you know, he never sat me down and told me this and that. He would just do things and I would watch and follow his lead, or he would say little things and I wouldn't get it for like a year or 2 later. You know, but he was always directing me. Always. And then lastly is my stepfather, Ed, who is just the ultimate companion. He's a great friend. Now, I know a lot of people don't want, people complain or they say that your kids shouldn't be your friend, but all my kids are my best friends. And I know that. I mean, that's just a fact, Jack. All my kids are my best friends besides my wife, you know, and we have great friendships along with me being their parent, you know. They feel that they can trust me with anything, and I feel the same with them. So anyway, those are my characteristics. I hope it's not too long. I hope I wasn't just mumbling, but once again, like I said on my post on Facebook, all you got to do is look in the mirror, man. Because I think you're a fantastic father, and you've got all the characteristics I've mentioned. So keep doing your thing. Proud to know you. Have a blessed day, man. Catch you later. Bye-bye.